Today on India Today Television, I'm Sakshi Batra. It's 3 p.m. and we are here to get you all the market closing action of the day. But first up, let's take a look at what's hot in the world of corporate as well as the financial space. Markets extend winning streak for the fourth straight session. Sensex gains over 400 points and Nifty crosses 25,200 on the intra-day level for the first time since September 23rd, led by strong buying in banking, financials, oil and gas and the consumer durable stocks. Tata Capital, the biggest IPO of the year, is 65% subscribed on its day 2 of IPO. Also, LG Electronics India, which saw its IPO open today, has already got 70% subscribed so far. SEBI also has cleared public issues of Lenskart and Wakefit, keeping the IPO momentum quite strong. Bullion rally continues as MCX Gold has hit record high with 24 carat in Delhi now nearing 1.21 lakh rupees per 10 grams of gold, while silver is hovering around 1.59 lakh rupees per kilogram, tracking COMEX gains rising amidst the safe haven demand in the US as well as the France uncertainties. The World Bank has raised India's FY26 growth forecast to 6.5% from 6.3% earlier, even as it has trimmed the financial year 2027 estimate to 6.3%. The lender has cited higher US tariffs as a risk, but has said India remains the world's fastest growing major economy, driven by consumption and GST reforms. Android users are going to be getting more app choices as US Supreme Court has refused to block order forcing Google to open Play Store to rival apps and also to boost consumption and competition. All right, last 25 minutes of trade for the day. Well, it panned out to be a pretty strong day, and in continuation with yesterday's momentum that we logged on, we also saw 25,200 mark in the intraday session as far as the Nifty is concerned. But we've seen a tad bit of profit taking right from the high of that day right now. If you see, we have slipped a tad bit and we've given up some part of the gains what we had garnered since the morning. 25,115 as the current level for the Nifty. What's happened on the Nifty Bank? It's slightly better off than the Nifty, 0.3% higher at 56,270. Remember, it's the 6th consecutive session when we are seeing the Nifty Bank continuing its upward run as well. So the banking stocks are strong. Apart from this, you're also looking at the real estate sector that's also picking up pace. Oil and gas and even the broader market names, the mid caps and the small cap stocks are also trading into the green right now. Apart from these sectors, you also see pharma names and even auto names showing us some ticks on the higher side. But what saw some profit booking right in the end of the session today towards the end is the metal space, the PSU banks, IT sector right ahead of the earnings season that kickstarts this Thursday. Also the FMCG stocks that have seen some profit taking. In the last half an hour of trade, you have names like Jio Financial Services that are topping the Nifty gainers charts. Also Bharti Airtel, remember in the morning we talked about how the telecom subscriber additions had actually come in. And you also see Bajaj Auto, Eicher Motors, again from the auto pack that has also been looking positive. Apart from this, HCL Technologies is also among the top movers in trade. But what's dragging in trade right now? Well, names like Trent that have been weaker, Tata Motors, Tata Consumer Products, at least 3 of the Tata Group companies are in the weakening zone in today's trading session as well. Before we get you a market view from our top market expert, remember, India has taken a leap towards integrating real-time forex settlements operations at the GIFT City. The announcement has come in by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, which is aimed at making the flagship international financial hub more attractive to global investors. Currently, it can take a few hours to more than a day to really settle that trade. And to ease that, Finance Minister has announced some important steps at the Global Fintech Fest that's underway in Mumbai today.
With the operationalization of the FCSS, GIFT IFSC will now join a select list of financial centers that include Hong Kong, Tokyo, Manila, and so on, that have the infrastructure to settle foreign currency transactions locally. So together, these initiatives spanning policy, infrastructure, AI, innovative culture, and also regulations illustrate how Government of India has laid the groundwork for a vibrant, inclusive, and forward-looking fintech ecosystem that is powering India's rise as a global fintech leader.
Well, there is a lot of buzz as far as the Global FinTech Fest is concerned. And in fact, what we are noticing is that apart from creating of the ease of these trades, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has also delivered this powerful address at the inaugural session, talking about when the threats given the AI-driven deception is concerned, while harnessing technology for trusted financial future is absolutely very important in trade. We'll get back to that. But let's quickly welcome our guest on board, Sneha Poddar, Vice President of Research Analyst at BND and Motilal Oswal Financial Services is now joining in. Sneha, talk to us about what's your first stance as far as the markets are concerned. We're again making an attempt to move up above 25,100 odd mark, of course led by the tailwind of the GST cuts and the festive spirits and ahead of the earnings season at large. But what's your stance? How is this earnings season going to pan out in terms of the markets?
Okay. Good afternoon. And what we're expecting in terms of market movement is that the overall, the initial days of the GST cut implementation looks quite positive. And secondly, the kind of business updates that is coming in before the start of the Q2 earnings season, that is also very encouraging. And along with this, the macro data points, like for example, the GST numbers which came in. So all this points towards at the macro, at the domestic level, the things are looking quite encouraging. It's only the global headwinds which is playing a kind of a spoil sport for us.
We'll come back to you, Sneha. We are unable to hear you very clearly. We'll come back to you. We'll fix that line for all our viewers to really listen to you very clearly at this point in time. But it's time for a small interaction that you must definitely listen to. One of the biggest brand gurus in the world, Business Today Television's Karishma Sudani got together with Sam Balsara, the chairman of Madison World, on the changing face of branding in a rapidly changing digital world. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Whilst digital is great and, obviously advertisers are right in shifting quite a bit of money to performance, you cannot underplay the importance of branding. Branding, as I defined it, enables you to create a connect with the consumer and the brand. Branding has a few critical elements to it. Ideally, it requires a bit of storytelling. Ideally, it requires a bit of time, 20 to 30 seconds. Ideally, it's a kind of lean back environment, not constantly on the move. So, my suggestion, therefore, is to the growing digital population to create a TV-like environment in which digital ads can be delivered, because then digital will also deliver the same kind of performance metrics which TV is known for. Conventionally, until the arrival of digital, I do believe that branding delivered a reasonable ROI to advertisers. Today, with so much more advertising, I think the unfortunate truth is that advertising is sharply coming down on the ROI platform. You know, if measured compared to 20 years ago, ROI is under severe stress, and that is why you need more and more of advertising to be in the same place.
All right, we'll continue to get you all those fascinating conversations that Business Today is doing with all the world leaders and, of course, the top thought leaders who are attending the Global Fintech Fest in Mumbai. And throughout the course of the day today, you'll get to see all of that action on Business Today's website and on our YouTube channel. But let's move on to finding out what's happening in the primary market space. Like you all know, there are two big IPOs. In fact, the biggest ones that we are seeing in 2025 that are still open for subscription. LG Electronics India has opened its IPO today with a price band of 1,080 to 1,140, aiming to raise 11,607 crores. This is via the offer for sale. And a little earlier, I spoke exclusively to Sanjay Chitkara, the Chief Sales Officer, and Atul Khanna, the Chief Accounts Officer of LG Electronics, to find out what exactly is the reason why, after years and decades of their presence in India, are they looking to enter the stock markets right now? What's in it going to be for the shareholders and the investors at large, and also try and find out what about the festive season thus far. How has it panned out for this consumer electronics major? Let's listen in to what they had to say.
Our IPO is based on two strong conviction. One is the India's fundamentals are very strong. It's a robust economy and it will remain a consumption-based long-term growth economy. And on the other hand, LG's fundamentals are very strong. I mean, we are a market leader.
Yes.
Our market leadership is from last 13 years. We are in all categories market leader, and our leadership across volume and premium zone both. And we are a much more diversified company. So both the fundamentals are very strong. And I think that was the right time where we want to take our consumers as well as our investor to be part of our growth journey. So this IPO will strengthen our ability to invest more in technologies, manufacturing, service infrastructure, so that we can offer a better products and customer experience to our consumers.
As we have seen a very good spike during this last 9 days of Navratra, not only the products where the GST rate cut has happened, where in other products like washing machine and refrigerator, also there was a spike in the demand. So aside our air conditioners, televisions, which are, I will say, on a larger screen size, is a particularly hit point for that, along with the dishwashers. There is a booster period. Government also has initiated during this Navratri from day one. They have rate cut to the 28% to 18% for air conditioners, dishwashers, and large size screens. So this has boosted the demand. And we are foreseeing that during this festival, there would be a good spike, and we would be also winning that market.
All right, so that's the big, conversation when it comes to the expectations on the GST rationalization and how the festive demand is getting a boost because of that. And of course, on the IPO, how the company is confident of continuing to create shareholder value after getting listed into the stock exchanges at large as well. But let's dip into another breaking news at this point in time, viewers. RBI's deputy governor has now warned against risks of the widespread use of artificial intelligence that can pose a threat to the financial sector. Joining in with more details on the same is my colleague Astha Chopra on the same as well. Astha, what we are hearing, and you're at the Global Fintech Fest at this point in time, you've been listening to world leaders all through morning. We've seen Finance Minister first in her speech address these threats of artificial intelligence. She has said that the all of those tools that are used for power innovation can be weaponized for deception and fraud. She's herself expressed concerns of the deepfakes of her own self that she has seen as well. And now we have the RBI Deputy Governor also talking about threats in the fintech sector that it may be facing because of AI. Tell us more about it.
Yes, absolutely. You heard it right. There was a speech in which Deputy RBI Governor told us about many things about TI. But before that, I will just briefly introduce that this is the Global Fintech Fest 2025, which is bigger and better this time. All across the speakers are here telling about the artificial intelligence, the fintech, the ecosystem across the globe and especially in India.
Right.
Coming to what RBI Deputy Governor has said. So, of course, at Global Fintech Fest today, RBI Deputy Governor T. Ravi Shankar has also said that artificial intelligence is all ready to shake up the finance ecosystem and the governance as well. He also told us that the AI could literally build out the foundation of every finance sector in the ecosystem, especially in the market like India. Also, AI can improve the credit assessment. It can help in fraud detection. It can also help in the regulatory compliance and break the language barriers across the sectors to push everything into the financial inclusion as well. It can also lead to the greater efficiency of what India stands today as well. But on the other hand, they also cautioned about the unmonitored use of the AI that may cause very, very much risk. As you just mentioned about the deepfakes, he also expressed his concern about that as well, which includes that these risks can literally be dislocations for the AI-driven trading as well, difficulties and responsibilities when harm is caused. So it will be a very, very big barrier in the risk system as well. So he talked about both the pros and the cons of the AI when it comes to Indian
Thanks a lot,
market.
Asta, for sharing all that update with us. Keep an eye out on what's happening. And of course, we'll continue to take a lowdown from you as to what the action is at the Global Fintech Fest. This is the 6th edition there, viewers, that we are getting you all the action from. Let's move across and find out from our market expert who's joining back with us. Neha Podar is with us again as to how is she looking at the current sentiment in the markets. There's a lot of volatility. Neha, help us understand how are you looking at the markets at this stage. We're again making an attempt to stay above 25,100 odd mark. But so far, the markets have lacked that strength to cross over any sort of resistance. How are you looking at the markets right now? Because remember, earnings come in starting Thursday.
Okay, so Sakshi, basically, the domestic cues are providing the strength to the market. So if you look at the recent business updates that has come out, both from the banking side and few of the consumer names, so they all point towards that the domestic business is in the pink of health. The Q2 numbers will mark the bottoming out of the earnings, and from H2 onwards, we can see the pickup in the overall demand environment, be it the credit uptake, be it the consumer demand. So on the domestic front, even the macro data points are quite encouraging. And if you look at the FI selling intensity, even that has reduced to a certain extent. So it's largely the global uncertainty with regards to the US tariff, which is holding the Indian markets back and not really letting it cross the the major milestones.
Sure.
Otherwise,
but how are you looking at the difference between other asset classes vis-a-vis equities at this stage, Sneha? Indian equity markets are not just underperforming global equity markets at large, but we're also largely underperforming other asset classes like gold and silver, for that instance. Bitcoin has also hit a record high level. So how are you looking at and addressing investors' concerns at this point that throughout this year, they've hardly made any profits and, the markets have stayed largely in a consolidated zone, whereas other assets have outperformed?
Okay, so see, the other assets have outperformed because normally whenever there are global headwinds, we always see other assets like, for example, gold and all outperforming. But now from H2, what we are believing is that the overall the market is expected to see a turnaround, because at least whatever headwinds were there on the domestic front, that seems to be bottoming out. And with the earnings cycle picking up, see, ultimately what really happens is that your market is it always moves in tandem with the overall earnings. So with the earnings showing a recovery path from H2 onwards, so obviously even the markets will ultimately follow the earnings. More of the value.
So Sneha, what's your expectation for Q2 earnings? Starting with the IT sector, what do you expect in this earnings season? Where do you see outperformance?
Okay. So this earnings season, we're expecting the numbers to be better than Q1, and there would be very less, downgrades compared to the upgrades that we're expecting. Overall, we are expecting about 9 to 10% kind of growth, and if we leave the financials where the numbers are expected to be little weak, the earnings growth could be anywhere between about 13 to 14%. IT sector will
Fantastic.
continue to be muted in terms of earnings. We really don't expect much to happen on the IT front. But the sectors like metal, cement, auto, those are the sectors. Healthcare. These are the sectors where good set of numbers can be expected. Some of the niche pockets like
Let's actually take some questions also that are actually coming in on the same thing that we are discussing. We have a viewer called Parth Shahpuri. He wants to know from you, will this gold rally continue to boost even jewelry as well as gold finance stocks? So should I look at investing in these kind of stocks at this point in time? Your sense? We've actually seen the jewelers really reeling a pressure of rising gold prices, demand faltering. But at the same time, do you think this gold run could be participated via these gold finance stocks or jewelry related stocks up until Diwali at least?
Jewelry related stocks should be avoided because though the demand will pick up marginally given the festive season around, but then overall, for the entire, quarter or next 2 quarters perspective, the demand will be subdued given the high prices. It's only in the terms of value that the revenue growth will be maintained, but in terms of volume, the weakness could be seen. So if one has to play the gold rally, then it has to be played through either Muthoot Finance or Manappuram Finance, because these companies will greatly benefit from the rising gold prices. So one should, or if one has to play the silver rally, then Hindustan Zinc is one of the best bet, because Hindustan Zinc has one of the highest reserves, and they are doubling the capacity as well. And with the rising industrial demand which is emerging for the silver,
Sure.
the silver prices will continue to rise, and thus Hindustan Zinc will benefit the most.
Absolutely. We have one more question that's actually come in, and that's an important one, Sneha. I want you to address this one. Saurav Das from Kolkata wants to know, which IPO is better at this point in time? Should I invest in Tata Capital or in LG Electronics? Well, both of these are the largest IPOs that we have seen, in the history, as well as for this year. Tata Capital is the biggest one. LG is also upwards of 11,700 crores, and these are both coming in simultaneously. So those investors who have limited funds, that's the key question. Tata Capital or LG? Both are big brands. Both are from marquee players. One is a global brand. One is a domestic large conglomerate. Which one to go for?
My pick would be LG. Now, in case of LG, I would suggest to look more from the listing gain perspective, wherein the GMP is quite healthy. But overall, from the long-term perspective, I would suggest to avoid both the counters. In case of LG, actually, the brand is very good. They have they are almost number one in majority of these segments. But then it's a highly heated competitive segment, wherein very strong gain from here on looks quite difficult. So my take would be that the valuations at which LG is coming is quite decent. One can participate in it, but just look at it from the short-term perspective and not from the long-term perspective. In case of Tata Capital, the current valuation does not look very attractive. The company is good, the financials are good, but then one has to purely look at Tata Capital from the long-term perspective only, because the valuations at the current levels just does not provide that kind of comfort. So Tata Capital would be a pure long play, while LG would be from the listing gain perspective.
Fantastic. I hope this has answered your question truly. Let's look at another breaking news at this point in time, viewers. Union Cabinet has now approved 4 rail projects. Proposed outlay of 24,634 crores for the new lines. This is Bhusawal, Varda, also the 3rd and the 4th line that is being approved for Gondia, as well as the Dongargarh. The 4th line has got a nod for Vadodara, Ratlam as well. The 3rd and the 4th line that has been approved for Ittarsi as well in in Bhopal, Bina as well. The fourth line has been cleared, and railway stocks are getting back into focus on the back of all these approvals that are coming in. 4 projects with a proposed outlay of 24,634 odd crore rupees. Let's continue to look at a lot of those railway related stocks and see whether there is some kind of a reaction that we are seeing in any of these stocks. Well, towards the day's high, you can see IRCTC that's actually moving up almost 1% higher in trade now. IRFC has moved up also to the day's high point, 1.7% higher at 127. Let's pull up RVNL. Let's also look at Railtel for that matter. Let's also look at some of the wagon related makers and the tracks related makers like Titagarh Rail, all of these stocks as well. Railtel is up by 3.5%. Look at the volumes that have been garnered over the last 1.5 hours or so. Jupiter Wagons also moving up. Let's look at Titagarh Rail. Another one that's also moving up 3.5% in trade across the board. All the railway stocks getting back into focus. Let's look at Sneha if she's with us. Sneha, railway related stocks out of this huge projects which have a proposed outlay of 24,634 crores. What does it mean for the rail stocks?
See, it's a big opportunity for the railway companies. I mean, for last
Right. Okay. We'll come back to you, Sneha, but let's look at market closing at this point in time. 25,112, that's the market close that you have. 34 points higher in trade. So we managed this week for the second day in a row, ending up higher, closing above 25,100 odd mark. Remember, there was some kind of a profit booking at the highest point, but we've actually pan out and show you what exactly has happened in terms of the big highlight on the market. So 25,108. 0.1% higher, 30 points of an uptick on the Nifty 50. Let's also look at the Nifty Bank and let's find out what's happened there. 0.25% of an uptick that you can see on the Nifty Bank. Because of this choppiness, we did slip a tad bit, but it's ending about 134 points high in trade. But IT, which had opened in fact higher, it was one of the top movers in yesterday's trade as well, has seen a lot of choppiness. It is ended flat with a negative bias in today's trade. Auto index, however, has pulled up. Remember, there was a FADA report that has talked about the historic record numbers in terms of sales growth for the Navratri days of 8 days that we saw in the month of September that has been recorded in. Even the broader markets, mid and small caps are also ending up higher, with the mid caps almost 0.5% up in trade at this point in time. Let's also pull up to see what's happened on the stock gainers at this point in time as well on the Nifty. The top movers include Bharti Airtel from the telecom basket. Remember, this was the first basket that we checked in the morning trade as well. Indicin Bank, Bajaj Auto, 1.5% of moves that you can see. These are the top 3 winners. Apart from this, you've also seen Eicher Motors, HCL Technologies from the tech space, and even Ultratech Cement that pulled up in trade as well. On the downside, like I pointed out, some Tata Group firms like Trent, Tata Consumer Products that have slipped in trade, and even Tata Motors, including, you can see Adani Enterprises also among those top losers in trade today. Infosys and Axis Bank are the other top laggards in trade right now. All right, viewers, we'll wrap it up on that note, but do stay tuned with us as the news coverage continues on the other side. But remember, in case you have questions about the investments and mutual funds, even your SIPs and stocks or gold-related queries that you have, send them to us, please, on the number that's flashing on your screens. We will be happy to have all our guests answer to your queries. And don't forget to catch the market opening action tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Living my best life.
Mindfully crafted home decor fabrics. Sansar, a decor brand. Live consciously.
Hello, Moto. Do the Moto Moto.
Motorola Edge 60 Fusion, the undisputed, most loved phone.
दादा जी पेंट तो बड़ा शानदार करवा लिए।
ड्यूलक्स है और उसकी वारंटी तो और भी शानदार।
पेंट से शानदार कैसे हो सकती है?
कैसे हो सकती है मतलब? पीलिंग, फेडिंग, डैम्पनेस सबकी वारंटी है।
और पेंट से भी शानदार
वारंटी
से शानदार पेंट
से शानदार वारंटी
से शानदार पेंट
से शानदार वारंटी
से शानदार पेंट
वारंटी।
ड्यूलक्स, डिसाइड करना मुश्किल हो जाएगा कि पेंट ज्यादा शानदार है या उसकी वारंटी।
Watching India Today.
Welcome back. And the Aviation Mantri Ram Mohan Naidu has spoken exclusively to India Today. Listen in.
सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर राम मोहन नायडू सर फेस्टिवल का सीजन है और हम देख रहे हैं कि आमतौर पे इस समय में किराए में बढ़ोतरी होती है। क्या कदम उठाया जा रहा है मंत्रालय द्वारा इस बार इंश्योर करने के लिए कि किराए में इजाफा ना हो?
See, this is the time when you come to the end of the year, you have Dashara, Deepavali, Chhat Puja and also the Christmas and it kind of starts the winter schedule also. And during this winter schedule, we have seen it's a season where there is a lot of travel happening and the demand on the travel also increases, which also kind of spikes the airfares. And this time we have taken a very strong approach to monitor the airfares and we have mandated the DGCA to look thoroughly to speak with the airlines. And we also have institutionalized meetings with the airlines where every month we are meeting with the airlines and trying to see the pattern of the airfares also. So one thing I can tell from the ministry is that we are ensuring that to keep the fares at a reasonable price, whatever efforts need to be done from the ministry, we are actively looking into.
What about the uncommanded RAG deployment on AI 117, which happened between Amritsar Birmingham flight while it was in midway of its descent in Birmingham?
Yes, we got to know about it and the DGCA immediately responded and tried to find out the root cause of the incident. They have already gotten onto the job and once we get to know more details, we are going to reach out to the necessary stakeholders